Hello from Debrena Jackson Gandy, founder of Juicy Woman University. I was 7 years old when I first encountered the phenomenal woman that later in my life I would ask to be my mentor. And she still is to this day, 26 years later. Even at that young age of 7, I sensed and knew that there was something very different about her. Years later, I would witness her effect on a room. It's one thing to talk about shifting the atmosphere in a room as an aspiration, and it's another to actually see it occur over and over again, as I did with her. My mentor could even enter a large space from the back of the room, and heads would almost magnetically begin to turn around, sensing her energy, power, and light, and turning towards her. The atmosphere in the room changed when she entered, and others could also feel and see it. Her light, energy, and presence was captivating. This was one of my first experiences with a juicy woman, a woman deeply connected to her divine power and divine essence, to her feminine spirit, her beauty, her brilliance, her genius, and her joy. She was the living embodiment of a sacred, self-caring woman, a woman committed to keeping her mind, body, and spirit nourished, renewed, and fortified. I was fascinated, and I wanted some. How, what, and why did she get this way? Was it personal to her, or could I also develop and cultivate it? Was it transferable? Well, a few years after graduating from college, I got the answer to those questions as I began my own sacred self-care woman's journey. And I discovered that the answer was a resounding yes. And this is what you learn in Juicy Woman University, my signature 12-month life transformation program. You'll learn how to live and be a juicy, sacred, self-caring woman. That is a cornerstone of Juicy Woman University. I quickly discovered over the course of the first few years of sitting at my mentor's feet in numerous mentee sessions where she poured her wisdom and love into me that she was operating from a very different paradigm than most other women. She was living from an elevated mindset and an elevated level of thinking and believing that was in a different realm. She was living from a space and a place of what I call the sacred self-caring consciousness. And this consciousness reflected in her understanding of her divine identity, her empowered identity as a woman, and what it required that she embody in order to live in the fullness of who and what God designed her to be. And she embraced all of this fully. And the fruit that the sacred self-caring consciousness creates and generates is the Juicy Woman lifestyle. And this is a lifestyle where experiencing deep joy, peace, ease, spiritual connection, and flow are your new norm. It goes far beyond just doing things to be good to yourself. And it's where your light, power, presence, and magnetism is potent. And what I discovered a few years before my first nationally published best-selling book launched, Sacred Pampering Principles, when my own sacred self-care journey began over 2 decades ago, is that in order to live and be a juicy, sacred, self-caring woman, you have to first detox and disengage from what has been built into the very fabric of Western American social and cultural conditioning. I call this paradigm the Reboot Paradigm. And Reboot stands for ripping and running, efforting, busyness, overwhelm, and overdoing, REBOO. And it is based in scarcity, fear, pursuit, chasing, strain, and speed. Juicy Woman University provides the path and the process and guides, mentors, and coaches you to the juicy life. It teaches and shows you how to reorient and recalibrate your life, so that you are living from your divine essence more and more. A juicy woman experiences deep satisfaction and fulfillment, deep joy, peace, ease, spiritual connection, flow, and alignment with her divine essence and her divine spirit. But when you're living from the Reboot paradigm and the Reboot life, you feel an inner restlessness, low-grade dissatisfaction. You are self-neglecting and self-betraying instead of being self-honoring and self-trusting. You tend to be moving way too much, doing way too much, and moving way too fast. You often neglect your own mind, body, and spirit in the name of taking care of others. You often put yourself last or least. You have a hard time saying no without feeling guilty. You defer your own vision, and you keep putting others' visions and dreams ahead of your own as if yours is less important. You have self-doubt and what I call low-level self-love. You constantly are in pursuit of happiness. You've been taught, shown, or told that negative self-sacrifice is honorable. And it's how you as a woman earn points with others and how you show others that you love them. You use overdoing or doing for or excess control to validate and legitimize yourself or a feeling of importance. But I am here to remind you and say loud and clear, the Reboot Lifestyle is learned. And it is against the grain of your divine design and your feminine essence. But unfortunately, this is the norm in this culture. It is based in the Reboot Paradigm. But I have not yet seen a woman get to that place of sustained, deep, lasting satisfaction, joy, and fulfillment from within the Reboot Paradigm. It will continue to elude you. A juicy woman is self-trusting, self-honoring. She operates from high-level self-love and honors her feminine essence instead of working against it. She recognizes that her body is a divine living temple. As my mentor did, a juicy woman operates and lives from an elevated level of thinking, believing, and knowing about herself, her divine identity, and her life. So how is Juicy Woman University structured? It's divided into 4 quarters like a traditional university. The theme of each of the quarters or modules is awaken, activate, elevate, and integrate, and each quarter's module builds upon the previous one. Now, one of the aspects of a juicy woman's sacred self-caring consciousness is having your inner compass and your values aligned to 5 specific commitments. The first is a full spirit, and that's in contrast to a depleted spirit. A clear mind, and that's in contrast to an overwhelmed or scattered mind where you can't think straight. A well body. This means free of pain, free of disease, free of medication, including aspirin, Pepto-Bismol, Tums, Pamprin, Midol, and the list goes on. It's about honoring your body as a divine living temple. And lastly, fourthly, an open heart, and that means that you are doing your healing and forgiveness work intentionally. And fifthly, you've made the shift from trying to manage and save time to wisely managing your energy. Through the 8 major life areas, we address the juicy guest luminary presenters that are handpicked by me, to the culture of care that we create together, to the powerful life work assignments, loving accountability, the 5 levels of support we make available, your Juicy Buddy matchup, our private Facebook page together, and the one-on-one lightning coaching that is available to each member of the cohort community. We together go on an incredible journey where you learn the new premises, spiritually centered principles, practices, and tools of living and being a juicy, sacred, self-caring woman. There is nothing like JWU. In JWU, you get liberated so you can be fully self-expressed and experience what I call a full wingspan juicy life. Grads use words like evolutionary, revolutionary, liberating, life-changing, abundantly profound to describe JWU and its impact. I believe this is also the reason that consistently half of each year's cohort class actually re-enrolls for a second year. In JWU, you learn that there are levels of juiciness, and women want to return and re-enroll so they can go higher and so that they can move from integration to full embodiment, like my mentor. I have seen women experience all kinds of amazing combinations of transformation. I don't just mean growth or change or improvement. I mean transformation, as in from a caterpillar to a butterfly, where they literally have become different women. I have witnessed I have witnessed powerful combinations of transformation in bodies, physical appearance, image, presentation, in personal relationships, family relationships, in your relationships with their children. I've seen love relationships and marriages be transformed, bodies release weight, healed bodies, disease fading away, experiencing new levels of emotional healing and freedom that forgiveness work makes available, taking businesses to an entire new level, launching businesses, getting new promotions and upgrades in the professional life, breakthroughs with money, finances, credit scores, savings, being able to buy a first home, having a renewed and deeper relationship with God and with their own mind, bodies, and spirits. And that's just to name a few. So consider this a personal invitation from me to you to be a part of this movement, because that's what it is, and to be a part of the cohort community for Juicy Woman University. This year we are expecting our largest class ever, especially as we begin to reevaluate our lives and recenter ourselves as a result of what this season of COVID has revealed. So simply click on the link to be taken to the full registration details and to claim your spot. You also can read some testimonies from graduates. I hope that you decide to join us.